Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Xayah updated complete guide, of course, for the latest patch. Now Xayah actually I think is one of the strongest champions right now, but we'll talk more about that later. But for now, I'm going to refer you guys to the basic guide for her skills, living order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. Now I put that in the cards up above, so if you guys want to refer to it, click on that video. But with that said, now let's talk about her items, runes, and spells, right? So taking a look at the top players, my build is a little bit different because I've chosen to go for Conqueror instead. But here we have the Gluttonous Greaves first for the AD and Omnivamp, and then you go into the Bloodthirster, of course, for the AD, as well as of course giving you physical vamp as well as the lifeline passive. And then you go into NAVORI. Now NAVORI of course now increases the damage of your abilities aside from lowering the cooldown, so very useful on Xayah's E for example. And then we actually go for Blaster. Now Blaster gives you that bonus range, the static shift passive, but most importantly um, gives you the burst damage and the attack speed as well. Now attack speed is very important, and the bonus range is very important as well because it allows you to get out your feathers more quickly and at a longer distance. We'll talk a little bit more about that part in the gameplay as well. And then, of course, last item we're going to go for Mole Reminder for the Armor Pen and the Grievous Wounds. Now, something to take note of is that we don't actually go for IE in this particular build, because we don't really need it. With the new NAVORI, it gives you more than enough damage on your E, which is a major source of your damage anyway, so you don't actually need to go for IE. This is a lot more of a ability-focused build. Then for the last item, you're going to go for something more defensive. So here I have Maw as a default. You could, of course, go for something like GA as well. And for the runes, as I mentioned, I actually want to go for Conqueror here. And this will give me stacking AD and of course Omnivamp when I fully stack it, which is really easy to stack with Xayah actually. And then the rest are the standard ADC runes. Now why Conquer? Once again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the gameplay, but to keep it simple, basically is I don't think you need any more attack speed because you already have a lot of attack speed. Now for the spells, you want to go for Flash together with Cleanse if you need it. If you don't need it, Ghost is very good on Xayah, because you can kite people out, and when they try to run after you, can pull back the feathers and let them take a lot of extra damage. But with all that covered, now let's actually talk about the gameplay. Okay, so now let's get into the gameplay itself, but of course before we do, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I'll be sure to address them. So Xayah, not very support dependent, and is actually one of the best ADCs to play right now, assuming you have the correct enemy team comp, right? So Xayah is really just an S plus pick, but only if the enemy team comp is good. If Xayah is good against the enemy team comp, if they aren't, then Xayah is probably going to go down a tier at least to S or A plus tier, for example. And the reason why I say that is because Xayah, a lot of her damage comes from her E pullback, right? And here we get into a very early game fight. I get exhausted, I cleanse the exhaust, and here I'm kiting out the Leona. Leona takes a bunch of damage, and I'm trying to get the kill here, but obviously MF is just going to turn around and burst me. Leona is now stuck on 1 HP, and unfortunately this means that Blitzcrank is in trouble as well. Manages to hook MF into the tower for the 1-for-1 trade, which is pretty fortunate, so it ends up becoming not too bad because of MF's greed. But what I mean by that is, if you're into a team of ranged champions, for example, let's say you have a mage, you have an Orianna mid, let's say you have another long-range ADC, you have Caitlyn, then you have like a long-range top laner like Vayne top or something like that. Xayah kind of sucks into this team because no one wants to run into her, and you have really no easy way of getting your feathers. Like the most you can do is someone on your team CC someone, and you go up, do her basic combo to root someone, and that's pretty much it. But Xayah really shines when the enemy team wants to run into you, and when that's the case, Xayah is just pretty much the best champion in the game. So case in point, the enemy team. Garen wants to run at you pretty much. As we get into yet another fight, here we're just launching our auto attacks at the closest target, Leona, because we can't really reach MF. Now Leona actually dodges the feathers. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, but here we're going to eventually get Leona as she's pelting me with CC and pops the W. Eventually we get her, and we get the feathers in position because MF decides to go for the kill onto the Blitzcrank, and if she chooses to do that, she's going to die as well because she's going to walk into the path of the feather, so I pick up a double kill. So back to the enemy team comp discussion. Garen wants to run into me, Fiddlesticks of course wants to ult in on me, Swain wants to run at me with the ult as well, and Leona of course wants to dash at me. So pretty much the only one who doesn't want to run into me is the ADC. This is very commonly the case because unless you're playing against something like Nila, ADC, they will never really want to run at you unless it's like a Neela, Samira, or maybe a Tristana who wants to get close and personal. Otherwise, it is not going to be the case, right? So this is pretty much almost the dream game. It's pretty much the dream game for Xayah already. You have 4 people who kind of want to run into you, and Xayah is really, really OP in these scenarios. So here the wave is a little bit awkward because Leona and MF have the wave frozen outside their tower, and you don't really see people controlling waves very often, but they are freezing it outside their tower, which is what I like to do as well. So I'm not gonna complain about it. Basically, it's a little bit hard for us to farm because Leona can always threaten and engage. You can see the moment Leona leaves, I try to go up, I QE to secure the cannon minion so I at least don't lose all of the farm. And I'm gonna try to farm at range with my Q. Of course, I still have flash, cleanse, and ult for Leona, but of course I don't want to waste it for no reason. Right? You can see that I just Q max range to just secure those minions, and that's kind of the game plan here. So let's talk a little bit about our loadout, right? So first question is, why are we going for Magnetic Blaster over other items like, for example, Soul Transfer as another fight breaks out as we were trying to talk about the item. So here, we pop the ulti so we don't get hit by Fiddlestick's damage. Leona goes in, we get a huge pullback onto Fiddle and a bit on Leona as well. We get the double onto Leona. Hook comes in, MF dies as well. And then Swain is now coming in after the entire fight is over because there's some low HP bars. I get the root on him. He is not able to escape. I'm able to run him down, and we get the kill on him as well. So overall, 4 kills, no deaths on our team, and that was just a game-winning skirmish. So yeah, why are we going for Magnetic Blaster over potentially other options like IE, like Soul Transfer, things like that? Well, really, I think my best answer for that is that Blaster helps Xayah out for a couple of reasons. Right? Firstly, you get attack speed from the Blaster, which yes, you also get with Soul Transfer, but the attack speed is going to help you to put down the feathers more quickly, right? So that's number one, right? As we once again get into another fight here, we're just pelting Leona, we have a full stack Conqueror, we get hit by pretty much everything here, Shieldbolt procs, and we actually survive, and now we get the root back down onto MF, and we get the kill onto her, and Leona is going to try to run away, but we're not going to let her do that. She ends up dying as well. So pretty much you want to get Blaster for the bonus range as well. Why this bonus range matters is because when you get that auto with the bonus range, assuming you pop your W before that, you're going to get a feather very, very far behind the enemy. And then if you can QE, you can quick combo the enemy a lot easier. So that's why I think pretty much Blaster is probably going to be the best option for Xayah. I think IE and Soul Transfer are definitely viable as well, and we're going to be testing those out. But I think that pretty much the best option out of the 3 is going to be Blaster. Not that you can't go for the other 2, you can, but I just think this one's the best one. Here, MF assumes that we've backed, but instead gets one shot by us before Leona can save her. Now Leona actually flashes away under tower, and pretty much here what we're going for is plates, right? We don't want to hit Leona, we want to just hit the plates. We get the plates, so we have 3 plates already, and at this point in the game we are super duper fed. We're at 6k gold. However, we're not the only ones at 6k gold. Garen is also 4-0 and 0 in the top lane. He's also at 6k gold, so he is going to become a little bit of an issue later on in the game, you would think, right? Or probably the case, right? So the last fight, MF made a critical mistake of picking a fight with me when I had Bloodthirster and she didn't. And this is a very, very big thing in this current meta that a lot of ADCs or just players in general underestimate. The moment that the ADC picks up Bloodthirster, you have to account for the fact that they're going to have that huge shield. Even though the shield was nerfed in 6.2b, it's still a pretty big shield, right? So it is still going to matter. As Leona goes onto me, I pop the ulti, and it's a little bit awkward because now I'm in the middle of 4 people on both sides, and no shield is going to save me from that, so I do end up going down. But yeah, it's another 4-man gank, and this time it doesn't really work out because they all came together at the same time. But yeah, here, Mbessa goes in 1v3, 1v4. I'm not sure what exactly she's doing, and she's gonna die. Blitzcrank, I think, is not gonna make it out either. He's gonna get stuck under tower with low movement speed, and they're just gonna dive him, and there he goes. Yeah, so you really have to take note of Bloodthirster. So for example, whether you are the enemy jungler, the enemy mid laner, or whoever you are on the enemy team, you have to notice the Bloodthirster, and you have to kind of take into account that extra huge shield that they're gonna get. And especially for the enemy ADC, if you're behind and the enemy ADC already has Bloodthirster, you shouldn't be trying to fight them, because if you do, you're gonna not only be behind in terms of like just gold and items in general, but you're also gonna have to fight that shield which you don't have yourself. Now, when both ADCs have Bloodthirster, like what we have now, I have Bloodthirster and so does Misfortune, then it just becomes an even fight, or it may not be even if there's a situation where it's where one is on cooldown. Like for example, right now my Bloodthirster is on cooldown, whereas Misfortune's isn't. So if I 1v1 her, of course I'm going to be at disadvantage because I don't have the extra shield from the Bloodthirster. But assuming both ADC's Bloodthirsters are up, that would mean that it's going to be even in that sense. So the Bloodthirster doesn't really matter if both people have it up, if you know what I'm trying to say. So that is something just very, very important to just take note of. Right, so if you don't notice it, you are gonna lose more fights because of it, right? And at this point, we complete our NAVORI. NAVORI, very, very huge item power spike for Xayah. It always was, but now it's even more so because now you get bonus damage on your feathers as well, which of course your feathers are a lot of your damage, especially into teams that want to run into you. The feathers are going to do a ton of damage, so very important that we get NAVORI there. So next question is, why am I going for Conqueror instead of Lethal Tempo? Well, basically, what you will notice is you get 15% attack speed from Bloodthirster permanently now, right? You get attack speed from your W, right? Which the cooldown is reduced by NAVORI. And then you also get attack speed from the Blaster. So why do we need Lethal Tempo for attack speed when we already have so much of it? You will see, like even at this point, I'm already having a lot of attack speed. I can get up my feathers very easily. And already having so much attack speed, there's no real point of going for Lethal Tempo in my opinion. I mean, yeah, you get the bonus range, but the attack speed is kind of wasted because you don't really need that much attack speed. So I felt that the AD and the Omnivamp you get from Conqueror is probably going to be better. Right here, Blitzcrank is I think that's Blitzcrank. No, it's not actually. It's Kindred is in trouble. She's running away. Unfortunately, she ends up going down. Now I'm in a 1v5 at this point pretty much. I pop my ulti, try to survive, and unfortunately I don't survive. I end up dying to Misfortune. And my team is now coming in to attempt a cleanup, and Bessa gets a double already. Garen is the 1 HP running away. Swain is 1 HP trying to run down Heimerdinger and ends up dying. Now Garen is now in the 1v1 against Blitzcrank, but Blitzcrank doesn't really have the damage to kill Garen and misses the hook. Garen decides to go for the minions instead, is pretty much healing off of his passive, ults and kills Blitzcrank, however is going to die to Heimerdinger. So in the end, it's a 1-for-1 at the back end of the fight. So here I can now go to the top lane and farm the top lane. However, we do have Dragon coming up in about 20 seconds or so, so I definitely don't want to stay in the top lane for too long. And yeah, I'm just looking to farm it up. Like so, Kindred's on the opposite side of the map, so she's not going to be clearing these camps anytime soon. So we're just going to farm it, take it off the map, and then let it respawn. And here a fight is breaking out in the bottom lane where Dragon is about to spawn. Garen is gone to the other side of the map, so we know he's not going to be around, and that's important information because he's the most pet member of the enemy team. He might get maybe a tower though the fight lasts long enough. Speaking of which, the fight is still ongoing. Misfortune gets hooked because she has rooted herself with her ulti, and the whole enemy team dies except Garen, of course, who's not even in the fight. And this gives us a free Dragon and possibly even a Baron if we rotate immediately there, which we do not because I'm gonna go into the enemy jungle and look for farmer. So here we see that there is a Grom. We're just gonna grab that Grom and back on out. Just taking that one camp from the enemy team is pretty big because it's one camp of extra gold for you and one camp of less gold and XP for the enemy team. So once again, same concept. We're just gonna take these raptors. Fight breaks out here once again. We're gonna pop the ulti, get the pullback, and then we're just launching auto attacks at this point. Flashing away. We actually managed to kill the Fiddlesticks on the pullback as well as the Leona on the pullback, which is pretty nice. But at this point, we don't really have the chasing power to chase them because we don't have Ghost. And Xayah doesn't really like to chase anyway unless the enemy team is low HP and you can just kill them with autos. So instead, with only Garen left alive, we're going to go onto the Baron and we're going to start it out. Like so, it should be a free Baron. I don't really see any possibility of Garen stealing this Baron, so it should be a guaranteed Baron. Garen is not even coming here, which is great. So we secure the Baron ourselves, and then we can reset, get the Blaster, and we're on the 300 power spike. We also get two other components. We have not based for a long time, and we have a ton of gold. Two components of the Mole Reminder as well here. And here a huge wave has accumulated in bot, which is where we were initially intending to go, but Heimerdinger goes to bot to clear the wave, which forces me to then leave him be, and instead a mid lane fight is breaking out. So I'm just getting myself to the fight as quickly as I can, stepping into the MF ult pretty much willingly there just to get a better position for my feathers. Now here unfortunately I find myself in the middle of everybody, and I didn't have my pullback cooldown. If I did, I could have killed like 2 more people. But instead, we're going to have to look at my team with Heimer on a triple. And now it's Heimer versus Garen 1v1. Now, I'm not sure why Heimerdinger is chasing Garen, because Heimerdinger is another champion much like Xayah who doesn't want to chase into champions. And actually, Heimerdinger is really, really strong against this particular team, because much like Xayah, Heimerdinger just wants the enemy team to run into his turrets. So he wants the enemy team to chase him, and he doesn't want to be the one chasing. So I'm not sure what he's doing. Why is he chasing the Garen? And as expected, he nearly dies from it. Probably should have died there if Garen played it better. However, we are now able to complete our Mole Reminder, putting us to 4 crit items and putting us to 100% crit. So obviously we're very, very strong now. We're 12, 4, and 12. And we have a ton of gold. Heimerdinger actually is really close to our goal as well as Garen, so it's not like we're far and away the strongest champion in the game. That's not the case, but we are definitely very strong. Now we know Fiddlesticks is over the wall on the left because we saw him on vision. There he is again on vision, just clearing the wave. Now here I know I do a lot of damage at this point. Like if Fiddlesticks missteps and I short combo him, I think he dies. He does end up dying to Heimerdinger instead. Shield Bow pops. We get the pullback onto the Swain and get the kill onto him. Now, Leona just tries to engage on me, but she's alone, right? So she chain CCs me from one eternity, and Kindred here is just trolling. She pops the ulti to save the Leona, which is like, why? And then she emotes, thinking that it's funny, and I'm gonna give her the question mark in return. In the meantime, we take the mid lane inhib, which is a good thing to take, of course, but it's not the most valuable inhib. On the way out, checking the enemy jungle for free farm. Get their wolves, see if we have a blue buff up. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna take their whole blue side jungle, and this transitions very, very nicely into the dragon. Kindred takes the Hex Gate over, which number 1 puts her in position. Number 2 also denies MF taking the Hex Gate over, who was on the wrong lane. So here we secure the dragon pretty easily, and now we're gonna start opening up on the enemy team. Not Twisted Fate. Fiddlesticks is running away. MF has to flash away. Now we're hitting basically whoever we can hit, which is the Swain. Unfortunately, Kindred pops the ult again, which saves the Swain, but this time it's not trolling because she was also 1 HP, so she had to ult there. And my team is able to finish off everybody except for the Garen. Garen is definitely the only one on his team who's actually doing well, but I don't know if he's going to be able to stop all of these people. Now my team is backing off. Garen is spawning, not Garen, Baron is spawning in 3 seconds. Baron is now up. And I've changed my boots into armor boots because honestly, like both armor and magic resist boots are kind of okay to go for, but in this particular game, since Garen is building AD and he's the most fed, I'm gonna go for armor boots, and I'm gonna go for Maul just to deal with the magic damage portion like Fiddlesticks and Swain, and also it gives me a ton of AD, so it's just a very nice item to have. So here Kindred is getting a little bit caught out, hops over the wall into the Baron pit. Enemy team cannot really chase, and she begins sweeping the area. So here we just want to be careful not to get caught, trying to land some poke at the same time. Now here I'm popping this to get this ward. I go unstoppable. Leona engages on me, but there's completely no follow-up. I get exhausted, but it doesn't really matter because Leona can't kill me by herself. Now MF is actually coming. Now I'm in trouble, so I pop the ulti. MF still chasing. I get the multi-man root. Shield Bow saves my life, and I'm able to kill Leona, but I'm going to have to kind of run away a little bit. Now my team is now kind of coming over to help off of their respawns. In the meantime, the minions are actually killing the enemy Nexus, so Fiddlesticks is forced to actually go there and defend the Nexus. It definitely should not have been Fiddlesticks defending, but because he's the jungler with the smite to attempt to stop the Baron, right? But enemy team is super uncoordinated. Of course, it's this being a solo queue game, so Fiddlesticks ends up becoming the one to actually defend. And here, speaking of which, he is now going in, ulting in onto Heimerdinger, and he looks like he's gonna kill Heimerdinger, like so. But Heimerdinger towers, I guess, kills him afterwards. And here we're now going to back and pick up our Maw. Now we have a lot of pressure on the enemy team because you can see that the not Baron minions, the super minions are actually pushing in on the lane opposite to Baron as well as mid lane. So they're going to have to constantly deal with the waves like what you see Leona is doing here. So we should ideally be able to secure the Baron while this is happening, because I mean, it's really difficult to defend against the super minion waves, especially as a Leona, for example. So someone is going to get incapacitated just from defending the waves, and this leaves us a time to just do Baron, right? So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just focusing the Baron, warding over the wall. Here it comes Garen. We peel off the Baron onto the Garen, and we're gonna have to deal with him. First, we get the root onto him, get the kill onto him. Baron completely reset by this point, and Blitzcrank also 1 HP. So I realized that Baron's probably not the play. I think Mbessa was trying to split push and win the game there, but it didn't quite work. Now we're back on the Baron, 4 of us on Baron. It is a 4v4 at the moment with both top laners dead. Swain now attempts to run in and stop the Baron attempt. He does get the GA here. Baron is semi-resetting because it's not aggroing onto me. But here eventually Kindred's able to secure the Baron, and I'm able to secure the kill on Swain. We ace the enemy team in the meanwhile with Heimerdinger and Blitzcrank on the back line, and with that, that is going to be the end of the game. So, as usual, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.